The Leader of the Opposition.
Mr President, this afternoon I continue to develop the unfortunate theme of the continued toleration of violence against women in our society and the lack of resolute action to combat it. On 11 August this year I turned from issues of physical violence to a discussion about the treatment of women in the world of work constituting economic violence. That speech focused on the undermining of women's economic security and financial independence by the government led by the present Prime Minister Tony Abbott. In particular, the efforts to wind back measures that support working women and their continued participation in the economic life of our nation embodied in the paid parental leave scheme. Such a policy requires us to ask what it is about our social context that makes our national government think this is the direction the country should be moving in. A second national review completed by the Human Rights Commission of Australia in July 2014, Supporting Working Parents, Pregnancy and Return to Work National Review, reveals that a serious and systematic pattern of discrimination continues against women to this day, one that has a significant cost not only to women but also to working parents, their families, workplaces and the national economy. That inquiry found that discrimination, ranging from negative attitudes and inappropriate comments through to threats to employment and even the termination of employment, has an impact on the physical and mental health of individuals, careers and job opportunities, financial situations and families, but again, mainly women. It also has consequences for workplaces. This includes higher absenteeism, lower productivity, higher staff turnover, recruitment and training costs, as well as reputational damage. In this, it is similar in its consequences to workplace bullying. As of February 2014, the gender pay gap stood at 17.1%, which constituted women being paid $262.50 less than men on average per week. As of May 2014, that gap had widened to 18.2%. For New South Wales, the gender pay gap was 16.5%. But new ABS statistics out on 24 February this year show the gender pay gap had blown out to nearly 19%, hitting a 20-year high. Whatever the figure, gender disparity in the workforce is costing Australia billions of dollars in the form of unrealised productivity potential. The rise in female employment rates since 1974 has boosted our national economic activity by 22%, and the IMF has recognised that the employment of women on an equal basis with men would allow companies to make a better use of the available talent pool with positive implications for growth. Despite this, it hasn't happened, and as I indicated before, a 6% increase in women's participation in the workforce would increase national GDP by $25 billion, which for New South Wales would be about $7 or $8 billion. Closing the gender gap in the workforce participation and pay is therefore a prerequisite for ending economic inequality and boosting shared prosperity. There is also evidence of a strong relationship between women's economic participation and general economic growth, but we can see that issues inhibiting workforce participation for women include job design and workplace flexibility, specifically the lack of flexible employment options, including carers' leave and parental leave provisions. So proactive strategies and policies are needed to retain women workers. Failure to support women during this period of being a parent contributes to continued discrimination and their departure from the workforce, contributing to the $20 billion cost to employers of annual turnover of staff in Australia, which equates to a further cost to New South Wales of about $6 to $7 billion a year. So the policy of the present federal government is therefore economically irrational, more concerned with promoting an outdated social model that continues to undervalue the role of women in our society. The need for positive measures can be seen not only in the persistent gender pay gap, but also in the unemployment statistics. In this state, unemployment has risen from about 5% in March 2011 to around 6% in July 2015. But when we look more closely at the figures, we can see a gender bias against women. The unemployment rate for men has increased from 4.6% to 5.2% between 2011 and 2015, but for women it has increased from 6.2% to 6.4%, a smaller rise but higher overall rates of unemployment for women. For Blacktown, the figures for men are 5.6 to 7.9% increase in unemployment, but for women it's 7.2 to 9.1%, when overall unemployment for that area has increased from 6.3 to 8.4%. For Sydney Outer West and Blue Mountains, while general unemployment has increased from 5.7 to 6.1%, for men it's 4.1 to 4.2, while women go from 7.4 to 8.4%. There are similar figures for Parramatta and the Richmond Tweed area, but what we can see is a systematic pattern of undervaluing women in our society. I think this evidence shows the social context in which violence against women, whether it be economic, emotional, or as it too often is, physical, can continue to flourish. Ultimately, what this shows is that for too many people in our society just think it's okay to undervalue women in the social and economic life of our nation And this creates a space in which some think it's all right to perpetrate violence against women. We must all play our role in changing these values so we can end the epidemic of violence against women, including physical violence.
Mr. President,